we wanted to be able to have a dialogue with young people about what are the issues on their minds, and what we wanted to get across is, look, at the end of the day, you choose. What does it mean to vote? Your vote means that you're choosing who's making decisions for you. Do you want to choose between paying your rent or paying your tuition? Do you want to choose between watching your parents pay for their electricity bill or buying their medicine? Those aren't choices anyone should have to make, and that's what today was about. And your vote is your choice. It's how you insist on what is important to you and what should be important to people in government making decisions.
We are on our way to registering 1 million voters at Rock the Vote. We've already registered 400,000 to date. We have a bus tour going around this country. Every single city that we can hit, we are talking to young people about the issues that are at stake, and we're counting on young people to talk to their peers about the war in Iraq, about the rising cost of college tuition, about the fact that young people are twice as likely not to have health insurance, and all of the issues that are at stake for our generation. 20 million young people will turn out on November 2nd, 2004. This is our election. This is our generation.
So listen, we have education, we have programs, we have war. Because this is what the convention was about. The convention was about not waiting for somebody else to prioritize our issues. It was about us deciding what are our issues and what should be the solution. You know, oftentimes people just give us their agenda, give us their programs, and tell us what to do, how to live, how to eat, and we don't have any say-so in that. But we have to start taking a stand and saying, this is the issues that are important to us, this is how we feel we should be dealt with. Because if we're going to really be crucial leaders in this country, we have to take stands, we have to be aggressive, we have to be confident, we have to just be able to assert ourselves and say, this is what we want.
The goal of this was to say we need to stop doing more than just talking about young people and talking about listening to them. We actually need to listen.
Well, we've been there for a minute, so I think we should like back up, let them get back to what they were doing before. Then later we'll come back and see what's going on.
You think the United States should pull out of Iraq? Alright? That's what he says, he thinks the United States should pull out of Iraq. Does anybody think of anybody in the military? Do you know people that are in Iraq now? Have y'all heard from any of them? Have y'all in contact with any people? No? It's hard. Yeah, but you're right, the war. The war is a very important issue right now, and there's a lot of young people who come from places like Cambridge and Boston and Newark who are on the front lines of the war. People went there because they couldn't afford colleges, so they went there to get tuition reimbursement, tuition help, and now they're out there on war.
We know that the statistics show us that young people are at an all-time high in the level of their commitment to their community. More than any other generation, this generation actually believes in volunteering. And they know issues, they understand the issues facing their community, but we also know statistically that they have been disenchanted with voting and don't believe that it actually makes a difference. And so the idea was, how do we actually capture young people's attention on issues that they care about, but in a way that actually would really engage them?
I think in general, most people get the idea of voting, and for me, it's all about how simple the voting process can be once you know it. You know, the ability to go out and do it and to state your voice.
I think that there needs to be more youth forums around the country, and forums that basically involve young people to get them involved in the political process.
They called me last, I'm about to be off this. I'm sick of all the freaking bushes in office. From Florida to Texas, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer by driving in their Lexus. We gotta do it, I'm right here, I can't stop. Eat fast enough like dog, I won't stop. You see this political rap, they give me that. I'm about to hit everybody with a new rap. I gotta...
An orchestra.
Hi, this is Erica Jones reporting for Cambridge Responds on CCTV. I'm here at the Convergence Center, right here in Copley Square in Boston, as the DNC has gotten started. Today is Monday, and I'm here at the IMC Center, the Convergence Center, talking with Robert. Thanks for being on Cambridge Responds.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about this room and how it ties into Boston IMC.
The Boston Independent Media Center has been gracious. We're guests of the Black Tea Society, which has set up the Convergence Center, and we've set up our kind of a physical location here, resembling what we can do every day with the website. Essentially, during the protests and such around the DNC, people can come in off the street and bring in their writing, their pictures, their video, drop that off, get it online here, which is what they can do every day. The way the website works is that allowing these same things on an everyday basis, people can come on into the site and do it on location here and then get right back out into the street. So.
Wow, that's great. And so they can actually write their stories and upload them to your site. And does that work with other media as well?
Yes, everything. I mean, we're all set to do any audio. We have a streaming radio that's going on right now so that people could actually come in, sit down, or even call into the center, and you could be online streaming around the world right from the middle of a march even. So everything that's available from home is kind of centralized here so that people can come in from the march, do it here, and get right back out on the street, not have to wait until the end of the day or something, giving real-time, details and accounts of what's happening in Boston today.
What happens is when we have an uprising, when we go from city to city to city for protest against the World Bank, for protest against the Republican and Democratic National Convention, what we do is we set up an emergency broadcast system where during the duration of that particular uprising, insurrection, we set up a web radio station so that people throughout the world could hear what's actually going on here. Well, it's really interesting. NPR actually imitates it now, but all you do is you, again, low tech, you just flip open your cell phone, you call back to the studio, and through a phone patch, the phone being patched into the computer, into the sound card, and out into the World Wide Web. And so what we try to do here at the IMC radio is keep it live. And that's really important when you're dealing with situations like this where minute by minute, hour by hour, things change for different protests that we have had that have turned into riots.
Great, and obviously that contrasts really significantly with the corporate coverage of protests and events. And have you seen instances where the radio and being live has just really changed the course of events?
Well, it's both the videoing and the audio that has changed things. When a situation happened, the straight media is reported a different way. But we were able to bring them in either a cassette tape or an audio cassette tape. And in fact, when we were saying that people were being shot with rubber bullets in Seattle, that we were able to prove to the straight corporate media that in fact that was going on.
with the IMC Boston, but actually from out of town. And where are you from?
I'm from Santa Cruz, California.
Great. And was the IMC helpful? And, you know, coming here into Boston, figuring out where to go? What kind of resources do they help you with?
Yeah, the IMC is incredibly helpful. It's a group that sets up a convergence center, and folks that are trying to do independent media come in from out of town. They hook up there, they find out about events and know places to go. We're not from Boston, and within 48 hours we've gotten a pretty good idea of what's happening here at the convention and where to go. Yes, quite helpful.
Hi, and I'm here with Cambridge Responds for CCTV, talking to Dan Moores, a protester down here at the DNC. Dan, can you tell me, has the IMC helped you at all deciding about events to go to, finding out information?
Yeah, I'd say definitely. I mean, you can't read anything about any of the protests except for bad stuff in any of the regular newspapers at all. The Herald is a complete joke. The Globe isn't much better. So as far as getting kind of like just an open ball field perspective of what's going on here with the election right now, that's the only news source really, besides like the BBC, I guess, and they're not even that straightforward. So about events and what's going on and that kind of thing.
Hi, I'm Erica Jones for Cambridge Responds on CCTV. We're here now at Cambridge Community Television, where the Boston IMC has set up camp where they're editing their videotape and making their show right from this room right here.
I volunteered to be point person for the video project, and being point person means that I'm helping to facilitate the dozens of videographers and video editors who are coming into Boston or who reside in Boston to help cover the protests, counter-protests, rallies, speaker series, all the different events and all their ways, shapes, and forms that are happening during the DNC.
Oh, great. And we were able to talk to a few of the IMCers we saw on the street, and they were getting good video footage. And so I'm curious, what happens to that footage, and how does it end up into a concentrated show?
Well, there's a variety of different ways that we can capture footage and put it into show, put it onto the internet on our website, boston.indymedia.org, or to put it onto long-term documentary projects. We have people dropping off footage at our Convergence Center, which is located at the Black Tea Society's Welcome Convergence Center at Copley Square. We also have people delivering footage right here to the CCTV studios, where we're digitizing it, logging and capturing it, and editing for this evening's deadline. Well, we've already got a ton of great stuff that's coming today, and during the DNC, I just think things are going to get better, more exciting, more people will show up later in the week. Thursday's the day for decentralized actions. There's been a call for decentralized actions, and hopefully there's going to be crazy, spontaneous protests and art and free speech all over the city, not in the protest pens.
Great. Well, thanks for talking to us on Cambridge Responds.
Time to lay down serious sound.
The walls of reality closely caving in on me. I try to breathe through the suffocation, gasping for air. The hardships go through duplication, no hibernation, full despair. An insomniac, leaping over large gaps, grasping my chain of ancestry to pull me through this devastated century. Use my third eye in the observatory. I feel like my life is a gory mess compared to others I know I've been blessed. My strategy in the game of chess is to keep my mind manifested. I approach life open-fisted. A roof and food is my focus while the world around me goes bogus. Prove Nostradamus wrong is a must, and God I trust, and ask him why he makes suicide bombers decombust. Some have a lust for tragedy, an abomination on the Mideast nation. Situations occur constantly at the doorway to hell. All the turmoil for blood to shed down the well, only to rise as oil. After the nuclear explosion, the soil's been spoiled. How many was burned in spiritual violence? Societies have no tolerance. Red buttons up in parliaments. Some would go all out and sacrifice their own life to bring holy strife on their mortal enemy. It's a brand new century. Let's start it with peace. Make the hate cease. We've been through 2 world wars. We already know the death scores. Dark clouds cover the thunder down. The 8 blunders of the world that lead to violence. It lies within our internal science. Find this, that. It's hard not being able to go against the views of the news. The earth is a hemophiliac with a huge bruise. It's time to wake up and not hit snooze. Feel the walls of reality closely caving in on me. I try to breathe through the suffocation, gasping for air. Yo, now we're gonna show you how we get live on the freestyle. I got you, E. Check this out, yo.
You got me? Check it, yo, check it. Somebody say fuck Bush, yo, say fuck Kerry,
fuck Kerry,
say fuck Bush,
fuck Bush,
say fuck Kerry,
fuck Kerry.
Hey yo, this motherfucking nation is a little scary. Yo, one love to everybody that gotta hear me, especially when we talking about depleted uranium. It's the stuff that gets in your system, messing up your cranium. But they're not telling anybody about that, right? Especially when they're telling nobody that they can run for president, no matter whether they're white or black. Now what the fuck is going on? I don't feel like being a damn Democrat. I represent for the communists just to piss them off.
We're here today to send a clear message to the Democratic Convention here in Boston. The Haitian people have elected a president, Democratic President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, and the Bush administration took him out of power, and they just placed somebody, we don't know where he comes from. The Bush administration placed somebody in his position, in his place. So we're here to tell the Democratic Convention they will not get our support, they will not get our more than 2 million Haitian American vote without the return of democracy in Haiti with President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. And we want to tell the world that the Bush administration should stop the killing of the Lavala supporters. We are fighting to return President Aristide to power. And they have been arrested the Prime Minister illegally. So we want him to be released. Most of the Lavala supporters are in prison right now. So we want to tell the world we have to fight against that. They have to free them.
I work for the American Friends Service Committee in Philadelphia, and this is a national exhibit, or at least it's been more in the East Coast and Midwest. But it's been to a lot of different cities, and it's going to keep going to different cities. It's going to be in New York for the Republican National Convention, and it's here this week during the DNC, and it was here starting Thursday of last week, and it was in the City Hall Square, and then it was at UMass Boston during the Boston Social Forum, and it's here today, and tomorrow it'll be at Copley Square. And personally, obviously I'm against the war that is being symbolized here, but there are many more wars going on in the world, such as in Colombia and the Philippines, and this particular exhibit represents the Iraqi war. I have helped set this exhibit up more than once, and every time it sickens me because we tangle our hands in boots and laces and shoes that represent lives that have been lost and families that have been destroyed and hurt and people that have been in pain, and it's an exhibit that brings that to myself and other people volunteering and to the people hopefully that are passing by. And a lot of people have been touched by the exhibit. We're hoping to touch a lot more people so that we can be more effective in stopping this war and the wars that have been before, that have started before this, and the wars that we hope don't start after this war.
You want to just give us some thoughts about why this is important to be here?
We are gathered here today in solemn and silent protest at the incarceration of pro-democracy demonstrators in the barbed wire cage known as the DNC Free Speech Zone. The extremist crackdown by U.S. government on civil and political freedoms in the wake of 9/11, the war on terror, ushers in the age of Guantanamo Bay Camp X-ray approach to criminalizing the voices of the people. It is the latest in a series of harsh actions taken to constrain the world of ideas and alternatives by fences, walls, and wire. What does it mean when Boston, a city built on a history of revolutionary dissent, builds a barbaric confine for the people who want to express their democratic rights? Why do the Democrats stand silent while this assault on democracy occurs in the shadow of the Fleet Center itself? From Abu Ghraib to Camp X-ray Guantanamo Bay to the streets of Boston, we ask, is this what democracy looks like?
Well, I just want to say people have been making comments regarding the amount of people that are here, but in reality, it's the quality of people that are here. It's important that you are conscious, it's important that you're here, and it's important that you oppose the type of policies that exist, not just within the Bush administration, but within the state itself, and that you are willing to resist any form of violation of our fundamental rights. So the fact that you're here is a testament to that. The state, the police, the Bush administration is going to do what they're going to do. But what's important is that we do what we have to do, and that is to resist. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This is very important. When we talk about police brutality, when we talk about prison abuse, you know, when we talk about Homeland Security, the Patriots Act, we have to begin to say, it's just not, you know, the atrocities just happening in Iraq, you know, what they're doing to Cuba. We have to understand that this nation was founded on abuse and violence. As an African American, I'm a testament of that. In terms of my ancestors and my foremothers and fathers who were brought here in the transatlantic slave trade, in ships stacked, you know, very tight on one another. People had to urinate and defecate on one another. People who went insane. People who are considered non-persons in the society. Well, today they're still treating people like non-persons. Anytime you begin to abuse people like they did at Abu Ghraib, anytime you begin to abuse people like they've done in Attica, like they've done in prisons in Massachusetts, there has to be some fundamental change. So it's not just the Bush administration, it's sort of a historical policy, it's a mindset, it's almost a culture that we have to change. And so we have to continue to resist every day. We have to be vigilant about that.
behind are the signs
violence
being brought down,
and the
police are
bloodshed will
pulling it
not
down.
end as long as we are acting as the occupying force and the Iraqis are fighting against foreign occupation. As U.S. service members,
this is a free country. My dad's son in Iraq for free the country.
And his son died in the war. He wants to speak to you.
Bush lied. And who died? My son Jesus and more than 900 beautiful girls and boys in Iraq, only because Bush lied. And today Mr. Kerry looking for the nomination for the president. But Mr. Kerry is confused. Mr. Kerry say this war is wrong, but at the same time, Mr. Kerry say we need more troops in Iraq. What is this? Mr. Kerry support or not support the war? Mr. Kerry is very important for military families. Clear what is your position about this war. You support the war or no? You not support the war? Bring the home now all troops in America. It's impossible. A lot of boys and a lot of girls die in this immoral and illegal war. And today here in Boston, Massachusetts, Democracy Convention, I can speak out, but the police say, no, you can't do nothing here. This is the same policy, the Republican and Democratic Party. I support the Democratic Party, but I don't support the Kerry because the Kerry stopped my speech right today here. Thank you.
Continue to march the way the permit allowed. March the way the permit allowed, and we need you to move into Valenti Way the way you said you were to march. No, once you go into the soft zone, you can do anything you want, but you have to clear this area.
We can't go into the soft zone because we can't subject people to illegal searches.
Then your march is over and disperse.
No, it's not. We had a permit to be here.
No,
the city,
your permit takes you.
The city chose to abridge people's constitutional rights.
Your permit allows you to march Valenti Way to Portland, the canal, everything.
Right,
that's what you're doing.
But you guys, have set up an illegal set of checkpoints
you have
that
to move.
violate people's constitutional
You have to
rights.
continue
So
your march.
You want me to demand people subject
No, you
themselves
have to
to
continue
illegal
the march.
searches?
You have to continue to march, and then you can go back to City Hall Plaza and rally just like your permit
we will.
allows.
We're supposed to be there
No.
at 5 p.m.
No, you have to move this march now.
Well, okay, tell me.
Now,
do you
the
have
other
a map,
thing-
sir, please. Do you have a map?
A map?
Yes.
Oh, I do. Come on over to my car and I'll show it to you.
Well, can you bring it here? I'll say.
No, I'm not going to bring it here. I'm not going to. No.
Somebody
get a map. You have a permit.
No
You have it.
offense.
All right,
I
we're
know,
going to move it.
We do. I have a permit. I would like to say where we can go.
You have to move your parade. Your march does not allow you to stop and hold a rally here. So we're asking you to move.
Okay, but we can't go in.
We're asking you to move,
Yes,
and I don't. No, I'm not
why are you
arguing with
talking
you.
to the white man?
I'm talking to him. Right? So could you ask to move the march just like your permit allows? Okay?
I can ask. Permit.
All right. All right. The other thing is.
We don't want to go to the.
Guess who doesn't stand up for you? Hillary Clinton doesn't stand up for you. Of course George Bush doesn't stand up for you. But neither does John Kerry.
Neither does John Edwards.
But the issue of gay marriage, which is an attack on my person, on my soul, supersedes anything as far as I'm concerned. It supersedes a war, it supersedes national health care, it supersedes NAFTA, any of that stuff. If you're attacking my being a gay man and trying to treat me as second class, no, I don't believe there's any other issue that's more important to me this year.
This in the Avalon tonight is a reception for the Democratic Party delegates to the Democratic National Convention. It's hosted by the Human Rights Campaign and a number of other gay organizations who have endorsed John Kerry. And we find this utterly offensive because, in this day and age, would the NAACP endorse a candidate who is opposed to our legal equality? Would the National Organization for Women endorse a candidate who is opposed to legal equality for women? No.
Over my computer came a message that the Human Rights Campaign had endorsed Kerry. I about fell over. Why? Because Kerry is for domestic partnership and not for equal rights, which is marriage.
Kerry campaign has decided to betray gay people by saying he's in favor of a statewide constitutional amendment for Massachusetts to ban gay marriage in the one state where we've won it. Activists who are active on other issues, anti-war issues and so forth. John Kerry's in favor of 40,000 more troops to Iraq. He's in favor of continuing the occupation. He's in favor of basically keeping silent while his Democratic Party colleagues prepare a military draft for this country. He's basically written a blank check to Ariel Sharon and the oppression of the Palestinians. I mean, you go on and on and on. We know as gay people what it's like to be attacked simply for being who we are. We know what it's like as gay people to have laws passed to discriminate against us. We know what it's like to have our houses of worship physically attacked and arsoned. When we see those sort of attacks happening on any other community, we feel it is not only our obligation, but it's the right thing to do, to stand in solidarity. All the major Muslim charities in the city of Chicago have been shut down by John Ashcroft's Justice Department just because he alleges that they are involved with terrorism. He has not proved anything in court. Now, anyone who knows the history of COINTELPRO in this country and the dirty tricks that they played on the Black Panther Party and any number of anti-war organizations knows that when you give the federal government a blank check to be able to shut down protest organizations, that all protest organizations are under threat. This is a direct threat to our civil liberties.
An old abandoned factory near a dying fire. Three lovers lie, their tears have dried. They don't know what to do. Hitchhiked to Miami and they hopped a couple trains. Never made it to the fence that day. The new world never seemed so far away.
Hi, I'm JB from CCTV, and where are you from and your name?
My name is Peter Kiley. I work for C-SPAN. We're all based in Washington, D.C. Certainly during this political cycle, C-SPAN travels an awful lot. We've got camera crews that, the presidential election cycle almost is a 4-year thing now.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as whoever is elected this November, not long after that, people will start contending for the 2008 presidential election. They start going to states like Iowa and New Hampshire where those first primaries are held. C-SPAN sends crews there. They cover them as they go to these dinners, Lincoln Douglas dinners and things like that. And it puts into a program called Road to the White House. So we're constantly traveling, following the presidential election cycle.
Is C-SPAN a nonprofit organization?
C-SPAN is unusual in the world of television because it's a nonprofit organization. It's funded entirely by cable operator fees. They pay us a charge per month per subscriber. There's no advertising dollars or other revenue sources that come in to fund us. We think that's the real joy of C-SPAN because that enables us to cover events that may not have the splash and pizzazz that draw a lot of ratings, but that we think offer viewers who care about politics, who care about history, who care about policy, a chance to sit in and see long form without any editing, without any interruptions, and without any commentary from any C-SPAN person, offer them a front row seat to whatever that event is. And that's what we're doing here this week at the DNC and later this month in New York for the Republican National Convention.
So for the Democratic National Convention, the media is a big part, takes a part role?
Huge part. There's probably 15 to 18,000 press sort of people here. All the television crews, all the radio crews, thousands or hundreds at least of newspaper reporters, the internet, there's a lot of internet companies here, audio only on the internet companies here, a whole different sort of set is here. You can see as you look around the convention, all the network news channels are set up, from PBS to C-SPAN to the major networks and all the other cable news networks, so it's a huge contingent that's been here for a while, wiring all this up. You can see right here in the C-SPAN skybox number, we have 2 cameras, one camera to get a shot of the floor proceedings, another camera that would sit right here, and almost where we're standing, we will have guests on C-SPAN before and immediately after the convention, taking viewer phone calls and talking about the conventions. We also have here in the box, and you guys can get a shot of this, is a microwave receiver dish. And what that dish does will enable C-SPAN crews that are down on the convention floor to have a very small, very easy to get through those crowds wireless camera and audio setup that microwaves a signal back to that feeds downstairs to our production truck, the facility you saw just outside, and from there back to our headquarters in Washington and into the mix.
Yeah, well, all these waves, it's like, can they ever harm you? All these like radio waves and all that?
You'll learn about the electromagnetic spectrum. The spectrum is all the television rays, all the different radio waves, all cellular phones, pacemakers. Millions of devices now are sending out waves. Every second of your life, there are electromagnetic waves pulsing through your body, and we're all pretty safe from it. There's a lot of restrictions on what can be done in that spectrum, so we think it's pretty safe. And the FCC, the government, through the FCC, watches that very closely.
Thank you.
Thank you, JB. Good job.
This is not New England. This is not, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, New nothing. This is the place that was here. This is Anishinaabe, our king. Wabanang, our king. This is the land, in our thinking, it is the land not that belongs to the people, but the land to which the people belong.
The struggle of black people in this country was an inspiration throughout the world, including in India. Let me thank the organizers for inviting me, and I also bring you greetings from the Coalition for Nuclear Disarmament and Peace, which was formed after the nuclear weapons test in India and is part of the international movement not only against nuclear weapons, but also against the US empire building and against its atrocities in Palestine, in Afghanistan and Iraq.
We represent the Somerville chapter of Amnesty International. So we work on human rights cases, freeing political prisoners, and ending torture.
The Women's International League for Peace and Freedom was started in 1915 when women from the United States and from the European countries had a meeting in The Hague about 6,000 women met to try and stop the First World War. Since then, they have worked for the League of Nations. We are one of the first NGOs. We are a consulting NGO with the UN and worked most recently on Resolution 1325, which establishes the fact that women should be on any peace negotiating team. Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. They're an international organization. There's a
most people out there look at the politics and they hold their nose. Any of you think of politics as necessarily dirty? Yeah, some of you, you're honest about it. If you were all honest about it, most of you would say politics is pretty dirty. But let me tell you, politics is the applied form of democracy. If we give up on politics, we give up on everything. If we give up on politics, we let the other side have a big, big win. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want us to give up on politics. And we must not, we cannot. So one of the big challenges we have in front of us, and the challenge is a huge one, is to go to our friends and go to our neighbors, to go to our relatives, whether they're battleground states or they're not battleground states, it doesn't matter, and get people energized and mobilized for the battle ahead.
Hi. Oh, come look at my shirts. I have 13 shirts here. Okay, individual not for sale. This is sort of a play on the, you know, when you go to a restaurant and they have the little ketchups and they say on them, not for individual sale. So I just sort of twisted the words around. Okay, porn destroys women. Very controversial. This is actually a new shirt. Okay, fuck your fascist beauty standards. My first shirt, made in Oregon, 1996. I bought 12 of them for $100, and that's how one angry girl was born.
Every day in America, 85,444 workers lose their jobs. Every day. Every day in America, 14.7 million Americans are jobless, underemployed, or have given up looking for work. Every day in America, 43.6 million Americans have no health insurance. 12,878 workers are injured or made ill on the job. Every day in America, 6.8 million people are working, but they're in poverty because of the low pay of the jobs that they have. Yet we've got George W., our cheerleader-in-chief now, running around the country said, oh, everything's working, my tax cuts are working, see, jobs have been created. I've created 600,000 jobs in the last 2 months alone. There's a boom in America. But of course, most people are saying a boom for whom? 600,000 new jobs, but we've lost 3 million jobs since George W. has been in office. But the real issue is not jobs. Slaves had jobs. The issue is wages, income, middle-class possibilities. You could go out here anywhere in the Boston area, I imagine, to any cafe and say to a waitress, did you know that George W.'s created 600,000 new jobs? And she'd say, yeah, I know, I've got 3 of them. It's not jobs we're looking for. It's income, middle-class opportunity. Average wages today are beneath what they were in real buying power when Richard Nixon was president. Yet here we are in 2004, piece by precious piece, the powers that be, rapidly dismantling that middle-class framework that was put together by those who went before you and me. Bush, in his State of the Union message, said, don't worry about those old dirty manufacturing jobs we're losing. We don't need those because you've got a middle-class future in high tech. You can be a computer programmer. You can be a software engineer if you just got the gumption to get training. We need more job training. That's the answer. Then he submitted his budget to Congress, and he cut job training programs. It's the 3rd year in a row that he had cut job training programs. Then he submitted his corporate tax cut package. It included specific tax cuts for high-tech corporations to move software engineering and computer programming jobs out of our country. like Lily Tomlin says, no matter how cynical you get, it's almost impossible to keep up.
We're an anti-war group, Women for Peace. We have offices in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. We do protests, we do rallies, we do educational workshops, training, and we pink slip. We're famous for pink slipping people that don't behave well. We'll go up, to someone's home and deliver a pink slip, or go to CNN and give them a pink slip because they're not covering the war honestly and fairly.
These are the pink slips we give them.
We have our table here where we've been trying to get signatures to give to John Kerry to ask for a specific exit strategy from Iraq.
Basically to change U.S. foreign policy, because Iraq is only one piece of a much broader history and U.S. foreign policy, and that's the most critical thing.
I've been here since last Wednesday, and since I arrived to here, I've been noticing people want to know, questioning different issues about the situation in the Middle East, about the conflict in the Middle East. Many of these questions, I've seen them here in different panels, different workshops. And I can summarize that in 3 points, as I say. Like, what the Palestinians think of Gaza, of the withdrawal of Gaza. What they think about Sharon's decision to be withdrawn from Gaza, and what the impact of that. And the second one was the wall and its implication. And how can Palestinians see that affecting their daily life? And the third one was the effect of the U.S. interference in the policies and supporting withdrawal subjected to being monitored through the sea, air, and land. So it's nothing then more than occupation, but like being away a little bit.
Let me just say that the U.S. State Department or the U.S. propaganda is that the resistance in Iraq is made up of quote-unquote terrorists, quote-unquote remnants of the Saddam Hussein regime. Well, I think that I have a different take from that because of my own personal experience. Last year, right before the bombs fell on Iraq in the American invasion, we were talking to students, young men and women at Baghdad University. And these young men and women were unanimous in telling us that Mr. Bush was crazy in terms of his plan to invade Iraq. As one young woman told us, if Mr. Bush had read his history, he would have known that countless armies have crossed and crisscrossed the Mesopotamian plain over the 4,000 years of our history, and they have always been defeated. And I think, and she said, that Mr. Bush is in for a big surprise. And I would say that the Iraqi resistance, indeed, the vast majority of the Iraqi resistance is made up of these men and women from all parts of Iraqi resistance, of Iraqi society, that at this point just want one thing, and on which the country is now united. And this is the end of the occupation and the expulsion of the United States.
To basically people having different perspectives. And you have to deal with editors who you may not share any common understanding of the world with at all, okay? It's like talking to somebody who, they just got up on a different side of the bed. They don't see the world the way you see it, and so it becomes very difficult at times to pitch stories and to be successful in the newsroom. I had spent several weeks working on a piece on Paul Robeson at his centennial. I wanted to definitely do this piece, and it's a piece I took to them. They didn't assign it to me. Obviously, this was going to be a centennial unmarked in the Washington Post. And at some point, the editor comes to me and says, well, you know, Esther, you know, Paul Robeson, he wound up on the wrong side of history. And I was like, you know, well, you know, I guess I don't look at him that way, you know, trying to stay cheery. This one reporter who left when I was coming, because I was trying to stay very positive when I was like working in newsrooms, she said, oh, Esther, you're just trying to be everybody's friend. You know, like, just, that's not gonna work, But I just tried to stay very positive. And I said, well, I don't really see him that way, and my whole opinion in terms of him recognizing early just the role of, at that time, so many colonized countries trying to liberate themselves, liberation movements around the country, and how he aligned. I mean, to me, he wound up on the right side of history,
And so to me, it's really exciting, and we can, I think that people are starting to get this, and I think it's critical. If we're going to think about media transformation, let's think about it across the board. Let's think about the fact that we don't tax advertising in this country, and that we should, and that's a massive sort of subsidy to these people. We also don't fund any kind of public media or any kind of support for public television, all those kinds of things. I'm not so sure public television deserves it at this point, maybe public radio, but in fact, if we want to have media that serves other values besides commercial ones, they're going to have to be subsidized and regulated by some sort of government mechanisms, and that's what we need to do to think about transformation. We also need to think of, in addition to sort of taxation policy and those kinds of things, we need to be thinking about funding the whole distribution system for other values, all the way from alternative cinemas to distribution systems that like in other countries, that get subsidies so that social values can find their way into the media artifacts that are distributed through them as well. We need to fund media education. These things, you need to look at this as a holistic system of media change, and maybe that sounds like a lot to do, but until we at least start imagining what it's going to take, we don't know how to get there. So for me, those are very critical things, I guess.
Down by the Fleet Center, where the Democrats are going to be having their national convention, they built a cage for free speech. What does this mean? And people are boycotting that cage. So, okay, now that is certainly something to consider. Okay. However, even better, in addition to boycotting and other actions of protest that one might undertake on this particular issue, and with the, let me point out that this has been happening repeatedly at large demonstrations. That this keeps going on and on and on and on. This is becoming a common thing to create free speech zones. So his idea is to put up a free speech zone sign everywhere you can. In your car, at your office, at school, on your back, on your front.
You have to say that all of Boston is a free speech zone. And there's one serious consequence if you don't. You may lose your voice, and they will roll over you if you submit to that restraint. If you submit to that encroachment on your freedom, you will find not only will you lose your voice, But the time may come in November where suddenly there's a red alert, and then you're told you've lost your vote. Of course, it was lost in Florida the last time. This time they'll find another way for us to lose it. And so I invite you now to join me in the chant as we say, Boston is a free trade, free speech zone. Boston is a free speech zone. Boston is a free speech zone. Boston is a free speech zone. Thank you.
My strategy in the game of chess is to keep my mind manifested. I approach life open-fisted.
But the real issue is not jobs. Slaves had jobs.
And all of the issues that are at stake for our generation. 20 million young people will turn out on November 2nd, 2004. This is our election. This is our generation.
If we give up on politics, we give up on everything. If we give up on politics, we let the other side have a big, big win.
Time to lay down serious
expect me to play this, man?
It's heavy.